AITA for locking my roommate's emotional support blender in my closet? Okay, so I, 22F, live with two roommates in a decent apartment. One of them, let's call her Maya, is super chill. The other one, let's call her Bridget, 20F, is something else. Bridget has this blender, like a normal NutriBullet. Nothing special, but she has started calling it her emotional support blender. At first I thought it was a joke, but no, she fully means it. She blends stuff like 3 times a day. Smoothies, soups, weird powders from TikTok, you name it. The issue is, she runs it at literally all hours. 6 a.m. smoothies, midnight soups, 3 a.m. protein sludge. It's a full-blown rave in our kitchen at night. We've asked her nicely like 7 times to chill. Me and Maya even bought her those little noise-dampening pads for appliances, and she said it ruins the vibe. Girl, it's a blender. Anyway, last week I had exams and had literally begged for one single peaceful morning. I was up all night studying, fell asleep at like 3:30 a.m. At 6, 7 a.m., I was violently awakened by her grinding frozen bananas or God knows what. I just snapped. I got out of bed, walked to the kitchen in my giant Care Bears pajama pants, unplugged the blender and said something like, "I'm done with this." Then I put the blender in my closet and locked it in there with a little bike lock I had. No dramatic yelling, just vibes. Bridget freaked out. She started saying I violated her emotional boundary and that I'm blender shaming. I genuinely didn't even know that was a thing. She texted our roommate group chat saying she might have to file something with the landlord. Maya just sent the side-eye emoji and went back to sleep, lol. I gave it back that night after she apologized for waking me up again and said she'd only blend during reasonable hours. No idea what that means. But now she's been super cold and is calling me controlling Kathy behind my back. Her TikTok is full of blender content, and I'm 98% sure one of her posts was subtweeting me. So AITA for locking up her per blender? I didn't damage it, just needed one blender-free nap. TLDR. My roommate kept blending smoothies and soups at 6 a.m. and 3 a.m. and called it her emotional support blender. After being sleep-deprived and begging for silence, I locked it in my closet for a day. She's mad and says I crossed a line. Did I? Update. AITA for locking my roommate's emotional support blender in my closet? Hey again, it's me, Blender Jail Warden. First off, thanks to everyone who commented, laughed with me, or at me, fair, and especially to the person who said I should cheat on her with the blender. That visual is living rent-free in my brain. Honestly, Reddit has been more supportive than my actual apartment. So, the update. The blender truce lasted exactly 3.5 days. Then I woke up at 5:52 a.m. to, wait for it, a grape coconut sleepy girl mocktail. I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently it hits harder with chia seeds. What hit harder was the blender firing up before the sun even clocked in for the day. I dragged myself out in my fluffy robe and was like, "Hey, we talked about this." She responded with, "It's medicinal." Medicinal, like it's her inhaler or something. So I didn't say anything else. I just walked over to the cabinet, pulled out my mini speaker, placed it gently on the counter, and blasted the entire Shrek 2 soundtrack at full volume. She shrieked and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Balancing the vibes." That kicked off what I now refer to as the Blender Cold War. We've both been petty in silent ways since. She started labeling her oat milk, "Do not use. This is sacred." No one wants your warm oat milk, girl. I started casually Googling, is it legal to evict a blender on the living room TV with voice search on? Maya bought earplugs and refuses to get involved. She's Switzerland now. Finally, we had a mini intervention on the balcony over boxed wine. Bridget cried and said she didn't realize it was such a big deal. And I said it's not the blender, it's the timing. We agreed on no blending before 8 a.m. or after 10 p.m., which I feel is a very reasonable compromise that doesn't involve locking small appliances in captivity. So for now, the blender is free. I am mostly rested. And Maya is making popcorn every time we're in the same room, just in case it pops off again. Anyway, I'm saving up to move out next semester. If you hear blender noises at 3 a.m. in the distance, just know Bridget's thriving. Thanks, Reddit. You kept me sane-ish. TLDR, the blender made a comeback. I retaliated with Shrek 2, We entered a Cold War, and now we've signed a peace treaty with blend safe hours. I'm still moving out though. Probably.